Hey everybody, this is TJR.
And this is Superfan.
And
Grogu's here as well.
yes. And given the recent surge in popularity that Kate Bush has seen.
Or attention, yeah. She's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
But given that recent, surge of attention and popularity that she has been getting due to the Stranger Things TV series, we thought that we would do like a video for, kind of a primer video for beginners who might be curious to know more about her music, experience her music, but aren't sure where to start. And, you Superfan have always been hugely into Kate Bush.
Yeah.
You're a big fan. Now, I don't consider myself a huge fan, but I am a fan. I've definitely bought some of her albums over the years, and as you have too. And I definitely respect her tremendously as an artist because she's truly unique. So we're just going to talk a little bit about her and discuss tracks that you should check out perhaps. We'll each talk about how we discovered her music and because basically she's not always the most accessible artist. You were kind of saying that before we started this.
Yeah, she is very different.
Yeah. And yeah, not always the most accessible is the word I'm looking for. Running Up That Hill is a very commercial song.
Yeah. But, for example, there's another song, Breathing, that is the fetus's point of view of breathing nuclear fallout.
Yeah. There's a song off of 50 Words for Snow that is about her having
an affair.
Sex with a snowman. And so, yeah, she's not always the most accessible artist in the world.
Yeah, quirky.
But quirky is one word, yeah.
But I love her for that.
Yeah, I do
That's
too.
part of what makes her her.
Yeah, I do too. Why don't we each talk a little bit about how we first discovered her? I want you to tell your story first because I don't think I've ever heard your story about it. So let's hear your story.
It was kind of a gradual thing. I don't think I even registered at the time, but the first song I remember hearing from her was Wuthering Heights.
Which is a great song and a very commercial song, I would say.
And I was young.
Uh-huh.
We were living in New Orleans at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Not too long after the Elton John incident.
Oh, okay.
But I just remember hearing that song and being blown away. And it was, I kind of think like I had registered the Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
I was very aware of them when I was young and liked their music a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the first time that music connected with me, kind of like Elton John did with you.
Yeah. You're referring to the Beatles right now, correct?
Well, no, I'm saying Kate Bush.
Kate Bush, okay, all right.
Because, I was aware of the Beatles always.
Yeah, okay.
And I always liked their music, and anytime a Beatles song came on, I was into it. But I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And
you probably got into the Beatles a lot earlier than I did. But once again, you said this was when you lived in New Orleans, and you heard Wuthering Heights. Now, you mentioned the Elton John instance, which you said you were about, 11 or 12, you said?
Yeah.
Which you talked about, and that was in the unboxing of the Elton John album, Madman Across the Water.
We'll link to that video.
Yeah. I just wanted to kind of give some context here real quick. So it was not too long after that.
Not too long.
Okay. And you heard the song, you just hear it? How'd you hear it? Did you hear it on the radio?
I heard it on the radio.
Which is surprising because she didn't get a lot of airplay in the U.S.
No.
So you just happened to chance upon it.
Yeah, I think that it may have been a DJ rebelling and playing something that, but that happened then with FM radio.
Yeah, that happened then. And so was there a point when you heard the song, what led you to explore her further? Was it just that one song?
Honestly, that song clicked with me but I had no way of finding out who she was at the time,
Uh-huh.
or even buying the album.
Mm-hmm.
I was, I was still really young. My parents wouldn't have bought music for me.
Yeah.
Um, I think they bought me a single at one point,
Yeah.
and that was like a freaking miracle.
Uh-huh.
I don't even remember what it was, but
But this song stayed on your radar, and then tell me.
I heard it years later when I was working at Music Plus, and it registered.
Oh, okay, it registered, and then you became more curious, and of
Yeah,
course
and
now you're
then-
working at a music store.
And I realized I had heard other things by her over the years, but that was when I really got into her big time.
And then all the pieces came together.
Yeah.
For me, and I've talked about this before, but I'll state it again, it was the one single incident. I'm watching Saturday Night Live in the 70s, and she's the musical guest. It's one of her, probably, I think maybe her only U.S. appearance on TV.
Her only U.S. appearance.
Yeah, her own, and the reason is because she will not travel on a plane. Is that it?
She's afraid of traveling over water. She's not comfortable with it.
Not comfortable with it. Okay. But yeah, she appeared on Saturday Night Live, and I believe Eric Idle was the host from Monty Python.
And it is the episode with the famous Julia Child skit.
Oh, okay. All right. Wow.
We found that out recently when we were watching.
Uh-huh.
We looked to find out what that episode was, and realized that
It was the same episode that Kate Bush appeared on.
it was the same episode.
And I saw her two performances, and I believe one of them was Wuthering Heights. One of the songs she performed was Wuthering Heights, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think so, actually.
She performed songs. Well, I believe she performed songs off the first album. She performed them Heavy People.
And she performed Man with the Child in His Eyes, I believe.
Okay. Oh, okay. I get it. You're right. Okay, two different. Man with a Child in His Eyes is also another very commercial song.
Beautiful, beautiful song.
Beautiful song. And in fact, I remember I heard those two songs performed on the show. I was very taken by her because, first of all, I was taken by the songs. I thought the songs were really good. I was taken by her performance, which, of course, you kind of have to see because she's not like your typical performer who just kind of rocks out at the microphone or just not the typical performance. It's this very, how would you describe it? Artsy, quirky performance. Exactly.
Coming up with that word again.
Yeah, just go look. I guess you can find this on YouTube.
She kind of rolled around on the piano.
But I was taken by her performance, so I picked up her first album. I actually originally got it on vinyl back then in the 70s because that was the dominant format. We didn't have CDs. And I really like this album. I don't think this is really a bad album to start with, actually, if you wanted to listen to her. But
yeah, it's very different.
Yeah, but I don't think it's too bad of an album to start with. But I think you were saying earlier that you felt the best place to start for someone new would be basically her greatest hits package.
Yeah.
The whole story.
Yeah, and that came out after Hounds of Love, the success that she had originally with that album.
Which was probably her most commercially successful, most commercial album, Hounds of Love.
Yes.
Which, of course, is the song that has Running Up That Hill. It was a very commercially successful album for her. Although, it definitely has its artsy, quirky moments in it.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's very...
I'm not always sure.
It's very Kate Bush.
I'm not always sure.
She is very unique.
I guess compared to some of her other efforts, though, these two albums, her first album, The Kick Inside, and this album, The Hounds of Love, which came some years later, as albums, are probably more commercially accessible than the other albums in many respects, if we had to say. But
yeah, those are probably her two most
accessible albums.
Yeah. As
far as commercially speaking. But the whole story is the greatest hits package. And overall, that gives you kind of a good overview, I would say, and is fairly accessible.
Yeah, and there are some really beautiful songs on there. Army Dreamers is another one. and I believe this woman's work is on there as well.
Which has been remade. Yeah.
Is this woman's work on there?
Let me hear. I'll let you check it out real quick. There you go. The writing is so tiny. Even with my glasses on, I can barely read it.
Oh, okay, no, that came out. Actually, that song was on the soundtrack for She's Having a Baby.
Ah.
It was a song that she wrote for that album.
Yeah.
Um,
For the soundtrack.
for the soundtrack, and then it was released on Sensual World.
Oh, okay. Central World, which we have a copy of here. Right here. And this is a Japanese mini vinyl replica version here. I have to go look for
But
those.
another thing that you have to remember is it could be argued that she's a Pop-Tart. That
Excuse me?
she is a young pop star. She started when she was a teenager.
Yeah.
Wuthering Heights she wrote when she was 13.
Yeah, but these are... Yeah, but I mean, when we use the term Pop-Tart,
No, I know.
we're talking about a trend of that we saw in the 90s, that began in the 90s after the grunge period, where you had young
Well-
girls who were tarted up like models and as sex objects singing kind of mundane pop songs. And Kate Bush is certainly the opposite of that. She's an extremely artistic individual doing music that maybe doesn't appeal to everybody, but does have its appeal and is definitely very artistic.
Well, I hate to say it, but some of her success is due to her looks.
She
It didn't hurt.
she was a beautiful young woman. Yes, definitely.
Still is.
Still is, yeah. But I mean, yeah, beautiful woman, and that is true. That is true. That probably didn't hurt. But at the end of the day, I think the music itself, and some of her music is very beautiful. This is 50 Words for Snow, which was her last album, which I did buy on vinyl, but this is the CD edition here, in a nice little kind of hardcover book. While there are songs here that I can imagine are very, I would say, commercially not accessible, one song that is just insanely beautiful is the opening track called Snowflake, which is just about the point of view of a snowflake as it falls to earth, and its journey, and it's talking to you saying, I was born in a cloud and I'm falling, and it ends with the lyric, I hope you'll catch me. And it's just the snowflake's point of view as it comes down to earth, and it's insanely beautiful.
It is.
I mean, just an amazing song just to sit quietly and listen to. It's just beautiful music, beautifully sung, a beautiful song. There's another one called 50 Words for Snow, which is one of the few upbeat songs on this album.
And very fun.
A very fun song, yeah, very fun.
She has some fun with Stephen Fry.
So yeah, but like I said, but there's a lot of tracks here that are just like, you might find them to be head scratchers. In fact, this is the one that has the song where she dreams of having sex with a snowman.
Or was it a dream?
Or was it a dream? Who knows? Who knows? Oh, and we should mention the man, Wuthering Heights was remade by Pat Benatar. I thought she did a good job with it. But, I would recommend checking out the original. It's a beautiful song, and it's also very commercial. Is there any other songs that you might recommend that are like touchstones to check out?
Well, this woman's work was covered by, I believe,
Just look it up.
I'm looking.
Don't worry, I'll cut all this out.
The song was covered by Maxwell, and I actually got into an argument with somebody saying, oh, the original version of this song is so much better when they heard me playing it at work.
And she was referring to the Maxwell version.
And I said, no, this is the original version.
Yeah.
And they got into an argument with me and said, no, Maxwell. This is a Maxwell song. He wrote it. I said, no. Kate Bush wrote this song. It's on the soundtrack because She's Having a Baby. Brought up all this stuff. They insisted on arguing with me about it. And
Did they ever concede?
yeah, after I showed them on Google.
Okay.
And my manager at the time that I was working for came out of his office and said, "You should never argue with Superfan when it comes to music." And they thought they were getting into trouble because we were sitting there talking about music.
Yeah, good on your manager. Yeah, and of course we watched a live performance of Maxwell performing the song, where he made it a point to mention this song is by Kate Bush and she's the bomb, and he made it a point to bring that up. But yeah, there's, like I said, those are just a couple things. Is there anything else you might mention that you think is a good touchstone for anybody just trying to start to get immersed? Because I know with her sometimes being not terribly accessible, musically speaking, I think it's always good it is a good idea to start with the greatest hits package so you can kind of get a feel for it and then slowly immerse yourself further if you want to do that.
Yeah, I mentioned the song Army Dreamers, which is about young men going off to war. Sadly beautiful. I also mentioned Breathing, which was on, these were all on Never Forever, which is probably her least accessible album.
But an accessible track off of that album.
Yeah. Well, Breathing was a little bit different, and a lot of people that I have played it for didn't understand the context of the song. And it freaked them out once I explained it to them that this is the point of view of a fetus having to breathe in, nuclear fallout.
Yeah.
But at the time, that was something that people were afraid of. This was in the 80s, and that was a legitimate fear. Another song I haven't mentioned is Babushka, which is kind of a sad song about a man who responds to an ad or a note. I think he got a note from a woman, and it reminds him of his wife when she was young. And it turns out that she wrote the note, seeing if he would respond to it.
Oh.
Trying to catch him cheating.
Oh, wow.
And
all he was doing was responding, because the only reason he responded was because it reminded him of his wife when she was young.
Wow.
Very thought-provoking songs, I think, is what ultimately it comes down to. Which is not something that people tend to expect from a female artist. But she's also unusual in that she was allowed to produce her own albums. After her initial demo, which is most of the kick inside the original album, she produced all of it herself. And
that is remarkable, especially at the time, because we're talking, late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, all of that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the U.S. could have, if U.S. record labels would have allowed that. I don't know.
I don't think they would have.
Yeah, good on the U.K. that they did, and let her do her do her thing.
And something else that you didn't mention was that Dave Gilmour kind of was the one who discovered her.
Yes, David Gilmour, Pink Floyd. Yes, that's true. He was the one who discovered her, and he helped produce her original demos, which got her the record label deal.
All in all, an amazing artist. I'm hoping maybe we'll get more new music out of her.
Yeah, hopefully so. And if you're watching this video and you're not a newbie, but you were curious enough to click on, if there's anything else you want to mention that you think you would recommend to people who just want to, watch Stranger Things, saw, heard The Hounds of Love, or are just curious to hear more, if there's anything we missed, please put that in the comments and share that. And everybody, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate you playing this video to the end. That really helps this channel a lot when you do that. And if you haven't done so already, just click like, hit subscribe, hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. And as always, thank you, Patreon supporters, for all that you do.
You're fierce and mighty.
Yes, indeed you are. And if you'd like to be a Patreon supporter, go to patreon.com/TJR, the original, and make a monthly pledge, or just make a single pledge, which you can do.
Think
And
of it like a tip jar.
yeah, think of it like a tip jar. We always appreciate every little bit helps here and helps us keep the light on. And if you can't, that's okay. Just click like and play these videos to the end. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.